Now it's time for Fantasy Fanatics.
Welcome in to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Andrew Freeman. We are here.
Yes,
this is
we
2
are.
weeks in a row. Maybe 3. I don't know. It's been a while since we've had a 3-week in a row show.
Yeah, it has, because, of course, we had Independence Day, and we were off for that, and then there was a couple other weeks where we weren't doing it consistently every week. But, yeah, we've definitely been going strong for a good month now, so that's good.
This just proves that me and Ryan are dependable people.
That's right.
We're here. You can depend on us for those fantasy facts that you're dying for.
Yes, and, of course, fantasy football will be starting up soon. We have our live draft next Friday, so that'll be a fun show.
Yeah, fantasy football!
So that'll be at about 2:15, just so we can have the first 15 minutes to prepare and make sure that everything works, that my laptop will work, and that Andrew's computer won't freeze, or, all that stuff. So, yeah, we'll have to do that, and we still need, I believe, 3 or 4 spots.
Yep, we got 3 spots available.
Right.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes. So we will. So hopefully we'll fill in those 3 spots before Friday, and I know we will, because we can just ask students here too as well if they want to join. Now that mini camps are going on and training camps and all that, the Bears started theirs today, as most teams did. There's some key training camp battles to watch closely. This is from NFL.com. So there's just a couple of training. So, for instance, the first thing it says on here is Jets quarterbacks. So these are things that you sort of want to watch closely, maybe steer clear of some of these people like the Jets quarterbacks, because they don't have a set quarterback. But there will be plenty of hype surrounding this camp competition, provided there's any competition at all, which we think there will be. Except there's going to be written and spoken words from the general direction of Florman Park about the going-ons between Geno Smith and Michael Vick. With a rebuilt attack featuring Eric Decker, Chris Johnson, and athletic rookie tight end Jay Samaro, there is more to like about Gang Green's office than in the past seasons. No one will mistake the starting Jets quarterback for a top-line fantasy starter, but the winner of this battle will have more of an appeal than in recent seasons. Yeah, so it's either going to come down to Geno Smith or Michael Vick.
Geno Smith wasn't that bad last season before he got injured.
That's true. He was doing pretty well. I think one of my friends had him.
They were winning games. That's all that really matters, right?
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you should have a better option than to draft either Geno Smith or Michael Vick, but maybe not.
My thought is don't get stuck in the past. Yes, Michael Vick was amazing maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, he was one of the best quarterbacks in football in 2007, 2008.
Yes,
he was definitely one of the best.
That was before 2014. 2008 was 7 years ago or 6 years ago.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't get stuck in the past,
right.
Except for when it comes to Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah. Because he's always good.
He's always been a dependable.
Yeah, he has. He's been one of the best tight ends.
Every year my brother drafts him, I'm like, oh, come on, Tony. Come on, bro.
Eventually he's got to do bad, right?
He's going to do bad at some point.
Browns quarterbacks is another thing that's pretty obvious because
I don't even know why this is an issue. It's going to be It's going to be one of those Tebow shows.
Yeah, I could see
they
that.
Don't have Manziel playing. The city of Cleveland is going to demand them to play him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to mark Manziel as the quarterback.
Well, he has to be the starting quarterback because I mean, I don't know what else they have. I mean, they have a couple backups.
Wasn't Hoyer the guy last year? They had 3 quarterbacks last year.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer. Yeah,
Brian Hoyer. He did all right.
Yeah, so let's see. When Cleveland drafted Johnny Manziel with the 22nd overall pick, the howls calling for him to start Week 1 began immediately. The Browns tried to pour water on that fire, but might have grabbed the gas can by mistake. Incumbent starter Brian Hoyer is expected to open camp atop the depth chart and he also has the support of at least one of his teammates. But by the time we get to August, the Manziel hype train could be barreling down the tracks. It will be interesting to see if the Browns get arm-twisted into starting the high-profile rookie. It will also be interesting to determine how much effectiveness either Manziel or Hoyer could be affected by the fate of Josh Gordon. That's another good point, because Josh Gordon, he got into some trouble. Well, he's gotten into trouble numerous years. Yeah, it's pretty much a yearly occurrence for him. So
he's a problem child.
Yes, he is. He's a problem child. Dolphins running backs, another thing to watch closely. And they say, remember when we assumed that Noshan Moreno would take his talents to South Beach and gobble up the role of Miami's starting running back? Well, a funny thing happened on the way to Moreno's Dolphin domination, namely a lack of conditioning. Through minicamp, it was Lamar Miller who took the lead, apparently trying to redeem himself after a 2013 season that went sideways.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. The outcome of this could be interesting. If Moreno wins, he won't match last year's totals, but if Miller comes out on top, maybe he becomes the breakout player many expected to see last season. So that's another thing to watch closely between Lamar Miller and Noshan Moreno, because Noshan Moreno, I mean, he had a pretty good year. He was splitting time with Monty Ball on the Broncos, and they were both doing really well. So
I don't think the running game has worked in Miami since Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams were tag teaming it together.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really had any good teams since then either. So
not really at all.
Right. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I know the Chicago Bears played the Dolphins earlier this season. Hopefully that'll be a guaranteed win.
Beat them down.
It should be a guaranteed win, I'm hoping. And we'll talk about the Bears' schedule a little later on in the show, too. Another team to watch closely are Oakland Raiders running backs and Oakland Raiders quarterbacks. That they have them both here. So going to the running backs, the camp battle between Darren McFadden and Maurice Jones-Drew is definitely a battle you can't completely ignore. Both backs have the potential to be productive when healthy. That last part is key considering the recent histories of both men. Just for good measure, it's probably worth noting that Latavius Murray to the mix, since he'll be the player who will take up the mantle in the event neither McFadden nor Jones-Drew can fulfill their running back duties.
I just see them splitting carries.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
because MJD did okay last season, but
yeah,
McFadden's injury prone and
right.
really hasn't had a awesome season. He's been a letdown.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that Maurice Jones-Drew has ever really had that bad of a season. You know, he's been pretty consistent his whole career.
Yeah.
And of course it's tough being in Jacksonville. It's almost tougher being in Oakland now. But I guess he's in a little. I mean, he's in a little bit of a okay situation, I guess, with the Raiders. Raiders quarterbacks. So while we're on the subject of the Raiders, here's what we didn't expect to see a few weeks ago. No one believed Matt Schaub would be anything more than a placeholder for whomever was going to be Oakland's quarterback of the future. Who knew that Derek Carr could bring the future to the present? There's definitely a difference between succeeding in minicamps without a pass rush and succeeding in training camp and preseason games when the action is a little more live. But we're a long way from Coach Dennis Allen's initial comments that would take something catastrophic for Carr to see any real playing time this year. So it sounds like the quarterback of the Raiders could be Matt Schaub.
I don't know what happened to Matt Schaub. He used to be really good, like throwing 4,000
yards. Oh,
yeah.
In 2011, 2012.
Was his weapon of choice. Like, they're a good team. And then all of a sudden it just sort of went down into, like, mediocre play.
Right.
Where Matt Schaub was, I think he was getting sacked a lot too, but that's no excuse.
Yeah. See, who's on? Okay, another thing on here, Vikings quarterbacks. These are Minnesota's, because, of course, Minnesota has Teddy Bridgewater, but there's also Christian Ponder, among other people.
Man, so. I really want to see Teddy play.
So do I.
I want to see.
I mean, I don't even know how you could put Christian Ponder back out there. He's never really been that good.
No.
And with a Vikings team that really needs a good quarterback for people to rally around, a guy like Teddy Bridgewater is definitely a better option than Christian Ponder or Matt Castle, who they had last year. I don't even know if he's on the team anymore, but there's a lot more of better options. But it says Teddy Bridgewater was initially pegged as the man who would lead Norv Turner's offense in Minnesota. Head coach Mike Zimmer isn't tipping his hand on who will get the call in Week 1, even if Christian Ponder thinks he has it all figured out. The primary job of this contest winner will be to turn around and even hand the ball to Adrian Peterson, but the presence of fantasy breakout candidate Cordero Patterson could add some intrigue. That's true.
I just don't know how many years like Adrian Peterson can have all that weight on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been in the league for a while now, and he's had so many touches on the ball, and really, the Vikings winning is usually because of Adrian Peterson's legs.
Yeah.
So how many more years can he handle that? He needs a quarterback who can take some of that weight.
Yeah, he does.
I think Teddy Bridgewater is the best pick in that instance.
So do I. I mean, if you don't start Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, you're doing something wrong because
you're starting a mediocre quarterback.
Yeah. And let's see, 49ers running backs is another thing to watch out for. We talked about this a little bit last week, I think.
Yeah.
So we know Frank Gore is going to be the starter. That's not the issue. The issue is determining who will be Gore's understudy. Marcus Lattimore was originally pegged to be that player, but that was before the 49ers spent a second-round pick on Ohio State star Carlos Hyde. Look for the two of them to be locked in a pitched battle to be the number 2 running back in a run-heavy offense and a handcuff for plenty of fantasy owners.
Yeah, I think this is a huge handcuff.
Mm-hmm.
Last year it was Houston's Ben Tate.
Right,
one of
yeah.
the bigger handcuffs, but I'm definitely looking in this direction for a good handcuff because you know Gore's going to get injured.
True.
I don't think there's a season where he hasn't, except for maybe his first few.
Yeah, he's definitely injury-prone, and that's something you obviously want to be aware of.
Take note of, so
Yes.
later on you can get that handcuff and know, okay, even if Gore's injured, I have a guy.
Yes, we got a guy. We got Marcus Lattimore or Carlos Hyde here. There's 2 more here on this list. Rams wide receivers are something to take note of. That's probably because they have a pretty good defense, but they really don't have an offense, and having Sam Bradford does not help.
I think this is Sam Bradford's last season if he can't pull his head, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his contract is exactly, but is his contract up after this year? It might be.
I believe it is.
Yeah, so yeah, I could also see this being his last year because I mean, he has had some bad luck too with injuries, but yeah, he's definitely not as good as he was projected to be. So let's see. This time last year, we were anxiously waiting the emergence of Tavon Austin as a superstar in the making. And a year later, we're still waiting. It's not totally Austin's fault, as he played in an offense that didn't seem to know what to do with a dynamic receiver. And let's see. With Sam Bradford back in action, it will be intriguing to see who will emerge from a core including Austin, Chris Givens, Austin Pettis, Brian Quick, and Stedman Bailey. For good measure, St. Louis added Kenny Britt in the offseason. I thought that was a pretty good move, adding Kenny Britt.
Yeah.
That's a lot of mouths to feed. Hopefully the Rams can use the preseason to sort out a pecking order. So they've got sort of a overflow of wide receiver options there. And the last one to keep eye of is Panthers wide receivers. Somebody's got to take the lead, right? The Panthers had one of the worst receiving cores in the league last year and somehow got worse heading into the 2014 season. Despite what Cam Newton thinks about his wideouts prospects, Jericho Cotchery and Kelvin Benjamin are the marquee names in this group, but honestly, any number of players could still possibly emerge as targets for Cam Newton. None of them are likely to be major fantasy contributors, so be careful about that. And, yeah, I mean, those all seem like things that people should stay away from.
Would you want to pick up Cam Newton then as your starting quarterback if you know he has no main wide receiver to throw to?
Right. Since he doesn't have a lot of people to throw to, I mean, he's a good quarterback, and I mean, I think he finds ways to find people and incorporate people, but yeah, I don't know if I draft him. I think there's a lot more people, even people that are ranked lower than him, that I would probably go after.
I might even choose Cutler over him, and I don't like Cutler. I'd pick Romo over him, and I don't like Romo, but I know they have those main guys. They have those main guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. And, I think I'd probably take Jay Cutler over Cam Newton just because he has the pieces and the people to throw to. But when we come back, we'll talk about some of the rankings in the league, just sort of an overview of the top 5 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, defenses, tight ends, etc. And then a little later on, we'll talk about the Bears schedule and some other NFL stories. And then a little on later from that, we'll be talking about fantasy baseball. So stick around to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Andrew Freeman.
And now, after we told you about some of the teams and positions on those teams to steer clear of, here's some just rankings going into training camp and going into preseason for some of the positions in the NFL. We'll start with quarterbacks. Number 1 quarterback going into this season, Peyton Manning. Are you surprised by this?
I don't agree with it.
Okay.
Am I surprised? No.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm not surprised.
Because
I'm a little...
the professional sports people that announce this crap have to play it safe so they can keep their jobs.
Yeah, you got a point there.
I don't agree with it at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure who should be number 1.
What's on? What are the first 5?
Well, okay, yeah, I'll just tell you the top 5. Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Andrew Luck, Colin Kaepernick.
Boo!
I guess Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, kind of a tie split.
Okay, yeah.
They're calling Peyton Manning elite, like in a league of his own, which I would agree with, but then I watched the Super Bowl, like many of us did, and now I do not agree with that, and I think that defenses are going to figure him out.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously he was the number 1 quarterback, 3 or 4 years ago, but now I'm not so sure. And another thing kind of interesting, Tom Brady's not on this list either. He could be on this list just as much as Peyton Manning could be.
Tom Brady kind of fell off last season, though.
Yeah, he did, but
accuracy and yard wise.
But I feel like if you're going to have Peyton Manning on this list, especially at number 1, Tom Brady should be on this list too.
I think we should have a draft off. I think Russell Wilson should be on the top 5.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, he won the Super Bowl, so it makes sense.
Capper next, right on number 5. I'd switch him.
I like how Andrew Luck's on this list. I think that definitely is a top 5 quarterback.
After that comeback with the Chiefs, yeah.
Yeah, and he has he has really high expectations going into this season. A lot of people are thinking he's going to be, one of the best quarterbacks this year.
The problem is that when Wayne got injured, T.Y. didn't step up at all.
Right.
He's too small of a wideout he's a slot receiver. He's fast and short. You need that big guy in the corner, and if Wayne gets injured again, who's going to step up?
Yeah,
it's not T.Y.
Interesting. And I think the Bears and Colts had the same Las Vegas odds to win the Super Bowl this year. I forget what the odds were, but I know the Bears and Colts were tied, so that's kind of interesting. Because for the Colts, it pretty much all lies on Andrew Luck and if he's able to find the right people and get them into the end zone and everything. And for the Bears, it's sort of the offense, it's sort of Jay Cutler just going to throw, and the offense is going to, your wide receivers and running backs are going to do most of the work for that. Moving on to running backs. Number 1 running back, LaShawn McCoy.
Interesting.
Number 2 is Jamal Charles. I think he should be number 1.
I agree.
3 is Adrian Peterson. That's probably about right. Maybe Adrian Peterson number 2.
I mean, this is what we were talking about 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And I'm glad that they're seeing it like we see it. They're not playing it safe with the running back situation.
Adrian Peterson's not number 1 anymore. And a lot of that has to do with the team he's on. But a lot of that also has to do with his injury and then his possibility for another injury, which I could see happening, which would be very sad. But I mean, he's
they play Teddy.
Never been that healthy. So number 4, Matt Forte is on the list, and number 5, Marshawn Lynch. So yeah,
that's a good 5. Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Except for Jamal.
Yeah.
Put him number 1.
Yeah, I definitely put him number 1. Wide receivers, you got Calvin Johnson is the number 1 option. Dez Bryant is number 2. Demaryius Thomas, number 3. A.J. Green, number 4. And Brandon Marshall, number 5.
I think A.J. Green's too high.
You think so?
Where's Antonio on that one?
He's not in the top 5 here.
Antonio Brown, man.
Yeah, you maybe have Marshall 4, Antonio Brown 5. Something like that. I think that would be pretty good. But
A.J. Green
first
has
3 seem pretty good.
Redhead of Fury who can't throw.
Right.
Throwing to him, so his stock goes down.
Top 5 tight ends here. We got Jimmy Graham, number 1. That's no surprise. Julius Thomas, number 2. Rob Gronkowski, number 3. Vernon Davis, number 4. And Jay Cameron, number 5. I don't remember his first name, but Jay Cameron, number 5.
Jordan Cameron.
Jordan Cameron, okay.
Yeah, he's for the Browns or something.
Yeah, he's on the Cleveland Browns. This seems pretty good to me. This top 5 here.
I completely agree that Jimmy Graham's in a world of his own.
Yeah.
But tight ends, man. After Jimmy Graham, it's...
Yeah, after Jimmy Graham, you got
There's a
Julius
tight knit.
Thomas, Rob Gronkowski, and then after that it gets a lot worse.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to go over the punt returners and kickers and stuff, but number 1 is Steven Gostkowski, in case you want to know. He's on New England. And let's go to the defenses. And this is kind of interesting because there's 3 out of the 4 teams from the NFC West are in this top 5. You got the Seahawks at number 1, the Panthers at number 2, the San Francisco 49ers at number 3, Cincinnati Bengals, kind of a surprising number 4 there, and the Arizona Cardinals number 5. So that's 3 from the NFC West being the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Seahawks.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
I might put San Francisco at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's predictable, but
Yeah.
when they played each other, it was an amazing game.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be seeing that for years to come, too, for the NFC championships. And that's definitely going to be interesting because I think pretty much every year, one of those teams is going to win the division and one of those teams is going to be a wild card. So it's definitely going to be a battle in the NFC West.
Where does it leave the Bears?
Well, hopefully it leads them with a division title. That's pretty much the only way, and we've known this, that it's pretty much the only way they're going to be able to get in is to win.
Let's take baby
the division.
steps.
Yeah.
Let's win a playoff game first.
Right, yeah, first we have to win a playoff game, which
Has not happened.
it's barely happened. Yeah. Let's move on to this, and I know you've heard of this yesterday. It sort of came out that Ray Rice is going to be suspended for 2 games. The first 2 games of the regular season for assaulting his wife. A lot of people think it should be a lot more because you get people who get caught with drugs or get caught with performance-enhancing drugs and stuff like that, and they get suspended for half a season or they get a huge fine.
People are saying that Roger Goodell is going soft because of what he did here.
Right, and I completely agree. I mean, this is domestic abuse.
I disagree because she didn't press charges.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's true, but he knocked her out cold. I mean, I don't know how you could not suspend him for more than 2 games. I think maybe 6 would have been fair. 4, I guess, would have been a better deal, but it's kind of interesting. And then, I'm going to talk more about this after the update, but it's more about what John Harbaugh said about, he's a good guy and everything, and we'll get to the quotes. He said things among like it's not that big of a deal, and when you say stuff like that, you're going to get people mad, obviously.
Oh, I knock out my wife all the time. I don't know what the problem is.
I don't understand what the problem is.
I don't get it.
So, yeah, we're going to do... so we'll talk about that after an update. Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Andrew Freeman.
And now let's continue to talk about this article. I'm just going to read it. It's very short, but it's about sort of John Harbaugh and what he said about Ray Rice during his press conference yesterday. Ravens coach John Harbaugh is standing behind running back Ray Rice, who was suspended for the first 2 games of the regular season for assaulting his wife. Harbaugh said today that he and his team would get past the suspension and continue to support Rice, one of the team's veteran leaders. It's not a big deal. It's just part of the process, Harbaugh said. There are consequences when you make a mistake like that. I stand behind Ray. He's a heck of a guy. He's done everything right since. He makes a mistake, all right? He's going to have to pay a consequence. I think that's good for kids to understand it works that way. That's how it works. That's how it should be. So that's kind of a controversial quote, if you ask me, where he says he makes a mistake. I think it's a little more than a mistake when you just sort of are pissed off at your wife or something and just clock her in the head, like in the elevator, and then drag her out. I mean, if you see the video, it's not very pleasant. So, to many, Harbaugh's comments will come off as too supportive of Rice and not reflective enough of the gravity of the situation. That's also a criticism the Ravens as a franchise received when they arranged a press conference for Rice and his wife in May. Whether John Harbaugh meant this or not, calling Rice's crime a mistake suggests that it was a relatively minor transgression, and saying that it's good for kids to learn from it suggests that there's some kind of silver lining to this story. So, yeah, just John Harbaugh's comments, it's sort of the way he said it that made it seem like he didn't care. I mean, obviously he cares, and obviously he knows that what Ray Rice did was bad, and he deserves to be suspended for it, but the way he said it just, it didn't come out exactly right. But
now, Ray Rice, you know what you did is bad, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just go around beating ladies,
Mr. Mackey
okay?
is John Harbaugh, right?
We can't just be going around hitting women in the forehead, okay? That's so nice.
So let's see here. This is from NFL.com. Who could make the leap to fantasy stardom in 2014? These are some guys you might want to take a gamble on and draft.
Andre Ellington.
Yeah, we'll see if he's on this list. There's a couple. Starting off with a running back on this list, Christine Michael from the Seattle Seahawks.
He has a girl's name.
Yeah, he does. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Christine. It's spelt like Christine, so I don't know.
It's Christen, man.
Yeah, maybe it's Christen. I don't know. So he has some. Michael has some good talent. That much is clear. He's a powerful runner with great speed and some shifty moves. However, his biggest roadblock to fantasy success is a little guy named Marshawn Lynch. He has him pegged for around 100 carries in 2014, which seems fair. However, unless he manages to vulture a number of touchdowns, he won't be a real fantasy commodity, bearing Lynch suffers an injury or a sideline for some extended rest. So they say Christine Michael is likely a year away from being a true fantasy difference maker. Justin Hunter, wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, he's another person. And it says Adam Rank has already been trumpeting Hunter as a sleeper since the middle of the summer. I'm in line to believe the hype. Kendall Wright mostly stretches the field from sideline to sideline and hasn't had a ton of luck finding the end zone thus far. Hunter is an exceptional athlete and could become Jake Locker's number one target both down the field and in the red zone. His 43.9 catch percentage is cause for concern. Hunter is a great target as a late-round, high-upside wide receiver 4 or 5 pick. So keep in mind Justin Hunter, possibly for a flex position or something like that. Marcus Wheaton, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of high upside, I've been a fan of Wheaton all offseason, and I'm not alone in that thinking. Wheaton is a speedster and sharp route runner who flashed loads of potential in 2013 preseason. Unfortunately, a hand injury cost him 4 games and required surgery. So, he was injured, but he definitely had some good things going on.
Wheaton?
Yeah, Will Wheaton, right?
Wheaton?
He had only 6 catches last season, after all. Again, Wheaton is a worthy late-round target to stuff your fantasy bench with potential. Here's a running back, Kiri Robinson from the New Orleans Saints. Robinson had all of 54 attempts on 76 regular season snaps, but still forced more missed tackles than Ray Rice did on 730 snaps. So that's kind of interesting. The running back situation in New Orleans is always a mess for fantasy owners, and even with Darren Sproles moving to Philadelphia, the situation isn't any clearer. Robinson should be rostered in all redraft leagues and is a good target in dynasty leagues. So maybe if you have a dynasty league, he's a good option there. Marvin Jones, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's another good option that could be poised to have a good 2014 season. Zach Ertz, tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles. Have you heard of this guy? I have not.
I have not heard of this guy.
I have not heard of this guy, Zach Ertz. Maybe he's a rookie. I'm not sure. Let me see here. With Deshaun Jackson out of the fold, there are a whole bunch of new targets to go around in Philadelphia. Earlier this year, head coach Chip Kelly said Ertz could be one of the key players to have a huge role in 2014. As a rookie in 2013, so this is his second year, Ertz endured his share of learning curves early on, but grew as the season progressed. He's a physical specimen at 6'5", 250 pounds, and flashed the ability to use his size to open up all holes in coverage. Ertz is still a work in progress, but that shouldn't be taken ahead of proven tight ends. However, if you're waiting on drafting a tight end this season, Ertz is an enticing late-round option. So there's him. There's a couple other people. Jordan Reed, tight end for the Washington Redskins. Some people project that he'll have a good season. Ladarius Green, tight end for the San Diego Chargers.
Fozzie Whitaker, Cleveland Brown backup running back.
You think so? You think he'll have a good year?
Oh, yeah. Once he gets traded to a good team, I think he'll be fantastic.
Right. Toby Gerhart, he was on Minnesota last year. He's on the Jacksonville Jaguars now. Veteran fantasy owners will remember fondly Michael Turner's 2008 campaign when he finally escaped LaDainian Tomlinson's shadow. All signs are pointing to a similar coming out party for Toby Gerhart. After 4 years behind Adrian Peterson, Gerhart is now the bell cow for head coach Gus Bradley in Jacksonville. Gerhart has proven in spot starts that he can carry the load, and he has the shape and size speed combination to punish opposing defenses for 4 quarters. Gerhart has soft hands, surprisingly shifty feet, and most importantly, from a fantasy perspective, he has good opportunity. So that's another good option. Monty Ball from the Denver Broncos, we know about him. Le'Veon Bell from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He didn't have that good of a season last year, but he's definitely poised to have a pretty good season this year. He's their number 1 running back, I believe, for the Steelers.
Boo.
Cordero Patterson from the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about him earlier. Andre Ellington, running back for the Cardinals. He's also on this list of making a good comeback, at least, hopefully. So, yeah, that's just a couple players to keep in mind for that. And when we come back, we're just going to preview the NFC North and the Bears schedule. We'll tell you all about, I sort of went through the schedule and picked who I thought the Bears would beat and lose to. That we can have Andrew do that.
I will disagree with everything he says.
Yeah, well, I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think I may have made a couple mistakes because I think I only had the Bears at 4 losses, and I think it's going to be probably more like 5 or 6 losses. So we'll talk more about that a little bit. But you're listening to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com.
She asked me, son, when I grow old.
Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Andrew Freeman.
And now, let us go over the NFC North training camp preview and a couple things to watch for each team. For instance, for the Green Bay Packers, the Packers teamed Julius Peppers and Clay Matthews with dreams of 30 combined sacks floating in their heads. Let's see how this plays out. Julius Peppers is entering his age 34 season and looked a step slow in his final go-around with the Chicago Bears last season. Boy, is that true. As for Clay Matthews, he sat out the Packers' offseason program to help ensure he doesn't have any more problems with his twice surgically repaired thumb. If healthy, he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And so there's a couple other things about the Packers. Like the Packers used their first-round pick on Alabama safety Clinton Dix. Secondary is an area of concern for Green Bay, but Clinton Dix is no guarantee to be a rookie starter.
His name's Ha-Ha?
Yes, Clinton Dix.
Clinton Dix. Is that his last name?
It's a hyphen. So Clinton hyphen Dix. D-I-X.
They have horrible parents. What should we name our kid? Clinton Dix.
Okay. sounds good. And finally for the Packers, Jermichael Finley clearly has designs on rejoining the Packers, but it remains to be seen if he can get the proper clearance after neck fusion surgery. That leaves a wide-open battle for the starting tight end job in Green Bay. Third-round pick Richard Rodgers turned heads in OTAs and may be the favorite. Now on to the Chicago Bears. When the Bears gave Jay Cutler that fat extension in January, it wasn't because of his Favre-like durability. No, of course not. To that point, the Bears have left themselves vulnerable at the game's most important position. Jimmy Clausen and Jordan Palmer will compete for understudy duties behind Cutler, who has missed 13 starts since the 2010 season. The Bears had an egregiously poor rush defense last year, surrendering a league-worst 161.4 yards a game. That's a whole lot. The team looked to draft to address the problem using their second-round pick on defensive tackle Ego Ferguson. You can safely assume Ferguson will be given the opportunity to lock down a starting job this summer. The Bears need a lane clogger to emerge. And number 3, Bears fans still have nightmares of Randall Cobb looping through the secondary for a back-breaking touchdown in Week 17. This is a team that needs to find answers at safety. 2 starting jobs are available for the group. That includes M.D. Jennings, Danny McCray, Adrian Wilson, and Ryan Mundy. I heard Adrian Wilson could possibly be the favorite for that. 4th-round pick Brock Vereen is also a favorite to start at free safety.
Any relation to Shane Vereen?
I don't know, but it makes sense.
They might be brothers.
I can't imagine how many Vereens there are.
It's not a common name.
No, it's not. It's like, did you ever see 2 Stuprages in the same league? No, not at all.
I've actually never seen a Stuprich play a
right.
sport. So
neither have I.
I don't know.
Because I think
maybe NASCAR Monday.
Maybe there's some people with my last name in Germany or something, but not in the USA
Famous
as far as I know of.
Players, I don't know.
Yeah. The Detroit Lions. This is a big season for Matthew Stafford. The quarterback underwhelmed last season and now must find a comfort level in a new offense. New offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi could be a difference maker, and his plan to give Stafford more at the line of scrimmage could be a kick in the pants the quarterback needs right now. Number 2, the Lions have 3 tight ends that neatly complement one another. Creating a Frankenstein monster is almost impossible, which means Jim Caldwell and company must figure out a plan of attack. Let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings now. Here's the only quarterback competition you'll find in the division, and it's legit. Teddy Bridgewater is the exciting first-round pick. Matt Castle, so he is still on the team, Matt Castle, is the steady veteran who was re-signed specifically so Minnesota wouldn't be rushed into anything at the position. Well, I'd rather have Matt Castle play than Christian Ponder.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Matt Castle has at least had one kind of good season.
Right. And Christian Ponder lingers in the periphery, a man without a country. Castle is the slight favorite here, but he'll have to earn the gig. I can't imagine why Castle would be the slight favorite at this point. It should be Teddy Bridgewater. I guess it all matters in how he does in training camp. I guess if he has a really good training camp and he's really playing well and stuff, I would give him a shot if I was the Minnesota Vikings, because you're already not the favorites in this division.
Give Teddy some time to learn the playbook.
Right. Because, the Vikings are good for a couple upsets every year, so, if you have Teddy Bridgewater, you could have maybe 4.
I just want them to win more than 5 games.
Well, if they have Teddy Bridgewater, I think it'll happen.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah. So those are just some notes about the NFC North there. Now, let's move on to this Bears schedule.
Yes.
Because we haven't really talked about the Bears schedule and what it is. They have a pretty tough start to the season before their bye week in Week 9. Starting off Week 1, they play the Buffalo Bills at home. That should be an easy win. Now, Week 2 is going to be difficult because this is the 49ers home opener at their new stadium. And the Bears, every time they go to San Francisco, they always have a really hard time. And this is a nationally televised game on NBC.
So they're 1-1 at this point?
Yes. So I do have them losing to the 49ers. I think they'll be 1-1 at that point. Week 3, Monday night game at the Jets. I think they'll win that easy.
I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a close one, 1-2.
Okay, you're going with a loss there. I'm definitely going with a win there. So I'm at 2-1, and Andrew's at 1-2. Week 4, September 28th. You have the Packers at home. I have them having a close win in this one, but I could go either way.
2-2 for me.
Okay, so I'm going to go 3-1, and Andrew's going 3-2.
2-2.
Yeah, 2-2. That's right. October 5th, they play at the Panthers. I have a loss for this one, but this could possibly be a win, because after reading about the Panthers and some of their struggles, I might flip-flop. I might say that the Bears will lose to the Packers and beat the Panthers.
The Bears had some issues with their secondary last year, so I'm going to go 2-3.
Okay. October 12th, that's the following week, they're at Atlanta. I have them winning this game. They should win this game. I know Atlanta had a really bad season last year, and they're going to have a better season this year, but
Matt Ryan has the season of his life, 2-4.
Okay, well, it's a bold prediction there. October 19th, they play at home against the Dolphins. I have a win for this one.
3-4.
You should not lose to the Dolphins.
Not at home.
Yeah.
Not when the Dolphins are out of water.
Not, yeah, exactly. October 26th, they play at the Patriots. This is going to be another tough game. I have them winning this game, but they could easily lose this one.
I have them at 3-5 now.
Okay. And I have them at, I have them at 2 losses. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6-2. And that's going into the bye week. Then they're back at it week 10, November 9th, at the Packers. That probably will be a loss.
At the Packers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have 3-6 right now.
November 16th against the Vikings, I have them winning that. And that's at home.
4-6, yep.
Then November 23rd, they're at home against the Buccaneers. I think they'll beat Lovie Smith and Josh McCown and company.
Yes, revenge kill. 5-6.
Then on Thanksgiving, here's going to be a tough game. Thanksgiving, 11:30 a.m. start. They're at the Lions.
Oh, man.
It's going to be tough. The Lions always play pretty well on Thanksgiving. Even when they're not having that good of a season, they always seem to play pretty well on Thanksgiving. And the Bears have not played on Turkey Day in a long, long time. But I think they're going to win it because I think it'd be pretty cool.
Go ahead and say 5-7.
Okay. December, and then they have 3 straight home games, which is pretty cool, but it's in the cold December months in Chicago.
Cutler should be used to that by now.
Right. December 4th, this is a Thursday game on NFL Network. They play the Cowboys. I think they'll beat the Cowboys.
I'll go 6-7 on that.
They killed them last year, 40-17, 40-14.
I remember that game.
December 15th, Monday night game. They're against the Saints at home. Saints, I feel like every time the Saints are at Soldier Field, they always beat them. So I'm going to say loss. I think the Bears will lose that.
Yeah, I'm going to go 6-8.
December 21st, they're at home against the Lions. They should win at home against the Lions.
Yeah, I'll go.
And they close out the season, December 28th, noon game at Minnesota. I think the Bears will win that. At least I hope they do.
Against Minnesota?
Yeah. This is at Minnesota.
Yes. So I believe I have them at 9-8.
9-8. Okay. Wait, is 9-8? Is that a
8-8?
Yeah. How about I say 9-8 doesn't seem like
My
it adds
bad.
up to 16.
My
But
bad.
yeah, I have them at 4 losses on the season. Although I think it'll be more like 5 or 6 losses on the season. So, 11-5 is possible. Other than that, 10-6, 11-5, 10-6.
I have them at 8-8, and you have them at 11-5.
Yeah,
Someone's living in a fantasy, and it's probably me.
What can I do? I mean, I don't know. Yours is more realistic, maybe, but it is the second season, and they were. I think they were 9-7 last year. So
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to backtrack from that. Especially when especially when their defense will definitely be improved. At least it should be. I hope it is. The Bears are gonna hopefully have a better season. Of course, we're gonna do an update, and then we'll talk about some baseball moves. We're gonna tell you who's hot in our. Not in our fantasy league, but just in baseball in general. Some guys maybe you want to pick up if they're available. And also, when we come back from the update, we'll have Andrew check in on our scores in our fantasy league. Because I know I'm down by a little bit, but I'm definitely going to come back today. So
You have 6 pitchers pitching today. I would hope something good would happen to that.
I should be able to come back. So, yeah, we'll be back in a minute. Here's an update. Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Andrew Freeman, and we are getting down and dirty with some fantasy baseball starting right now.
Yes, and before we do anything, we want to make sure we pick the matchup for today's game. We always forget that the Cubs have Friday afternoon games most of the time.
Yeah.
And we're usually on the air when they're playing.
And supposedly that's why they lose.
Yeah, because they're too tired from the transition from night game to day game right away. But
thanks, Manny Ramirez.
But it's the St. Louis Cardinals at the Chicago Cubs. Joe Kelly versus Travis Wood. Who do you think is going to win this game?
I don't like Wood. because he's got a
he's been really bad this year.
5-point ERA. He's 7-9, something like
yes.
that. Kelly's 2-1, a little bit fresher ERA. I'm gonna go with Kelly.
Gonna go with Joe Kelly. This is his second start since coming off the DL, and he did pretty well his first time out. So you think he'll continue that success? I'm sort of torn on this. If I remember correctly, I think Travis Wood pitches pretty well against the Cardinals. That was more last year than anything, and he was very good last year, but he's not good this year. I'm also going to have to go with Joe Kelly. I can't pick Travis Wood. So we got that out of the way before we started, and before we get into some of the fantasy players that you might want to pick up in your league, some players that are hot, let's go to Andrew to see the scoreboard in our Fantasy Fanatics League.
The scoreboard. All right. Right now, Goldschmidt yourself, 327.5 to Coco and Company's dismal 272.5. He could catch up, though. 162-0 is more like 162. 162 is 4-11 is 288 and is almost getting beaten by a hundo .0. Watch out! He's beating Nashville Conquerors 415.5 to Nashville Conquerors 379. Shitter Squad getting beaten by I Like Stanton Girls, but it's close. 271.5 to 302. And Ryan's rolling. League champion at the moment, but is he? Currently getting beaten by 60 points by getting down with the Kipnis 310 to 370.
Yeah.
And those are your scores.
All right, thanks, Andrew. And now let's go over some of these fantasy player news, just sort of the people that are hot. I believe that this is a new page on MLB.com, because I did not see this before, that you can pick out that you can see the top performers who are hot and some people who are cold. Someone who's hot right now is Danny Duffy, pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. He's currently 5-10, but he's gotten a lot of those wins recently. His ERA is 2.47. He has 76 strikeouts. Let's see. Danny Duffy was outstanding against Cleveland as he went toe-to-toe in a pitcher's duel against Corey Kluber. Neither pitcher was victorious as the game eventually went 14 innings. This was last night's game. And Danny Duffy remained at 5-10, but he now holds a 2.47 ERA and a 1.08 WHIP, and that's in 98 innings. The 25-year-old appears to have unlocked his potential, and he must be owned in all formats without hesitation at this time. Duffy's next start is scheduled for July 30th at home versus the Twins. So
I might hesitate a little. He's 1-3 the last 30 days with 24 strikeouts.
Is that right?
Yeah, 27 hits. No, that's innings. Yeah, no, 27 hits.
Yeah,
7 errors.
Yeah, I mean he's coming off a good. He's coming off a good game last night, so maybe that's why he's sort of on the up. But I'm not sure. First I'm going to look for all the. Let's see, another guy for San Diego, Tyson Ross. He's 9-10, which is pretty good to have 9 wins on San Diego. 2.65 ERA. I know he was an all-star too. He was an all-star replacement, but he was an all-star.
You want to know what's more impressive?
What?
3 wins in a row when you play for the Mets. That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
DeGrom.
Let's see. Tyson Ross was simply electric in Chicago, and this was also yesterday, as his 11 strikeouts set a new career high. His next start scheduled for July 29th against the Cardinals. So that's another good option, obviously. Another pitcher, Cole Hamels. He's one that's been hot. He's 5-5 with a 2.72 ERA. And he fired 8 one-run innings in a win over the Giants on Thursday, scattering 6 hits, walking 1, and striking out 10. So he's been doing pretty well this year. And I know that there was trade talks with him. I'm not sure if those ever came through, and I think the Phillies eventually said that they weren't interested in trading Cole Hamels. But, they could have got some good pieces, the Phillies, for trading Cole Hamels. Another guy that's been really good lately, and this is because he's on those good old Yankees, is Brandon McCarthy. Ever since he came from Arizona to
4-0 in the last month.
Right. Yeah, he's doing really well. His ERA is still up there, but it's definitely going down. But since he's joined the Yankees, he has a 1.45 ERA across his first 3 starts as a Yankee. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Marcus Stroman for the Blue Jays. This guy's been on fire lately. He's 6-2. He's got a 3.21 ERA. But the Blue Jays right-hander Marcus Stroman fired 7 shutout innings in a win over the Red Sox Thursday, giving up just 1 hit. And he gave up that 1 hit, I think, in the 7th inning. He had a no-hitter going into the 7th, walking 2 and striking out 7. And let's see if there's any more pitchers. No more pitchers on this list. Now we'll go to some of the offensive players, like Ryan Braun, outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers. He has a 302 batting average, 14 home runs, 60 RBIs, 51 runs scored. Hopefully he's not juicing. 9 stolen bases, because, I mean, these are pretty good numbers. I mean, his power's down a little bit, so maybe that's why. Maybe this is the player he's supposed to be, is this type of player. You know, he's not supposed to have 50 home runs.
Indeed.
So, because he only has 14 now, he's only on pace to have maybe barely 30 if he's lucky, so... Yeah, with home runs in 2 of his past 3 games, Braun has now found the seats 14 times this year. He's batting .302, 9 stolen bases, which is pretty good, and can be trusted as a solid all-around producer in all formats, even if he's no longer performing at an MVP level these days. And, of course, when he won MVP and how he was MVP caliber, he was on those good old PEDs, of course. Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, he's been really good of late. He has 12 home runs, 314 average, 49 RBIs and 49 RBI and 49 runs scored. And he went 2 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBIs Thursday. He's hit a home run, I think, in each of his last 3 games. So that's really good. A couple other people on this list. You have Chris Carter, who's the first baseman and outfielder for the Houston Astros. He's has a really bad batting average, .213, but he's definitely been pretty productive for a bad Houston team. Stephen Vaught, who I think you picked up. Didn't you pick them up?
I let him go because I need a shortstop because Tulowitzki got injured.
Oh, okay.
But he did just get picked up.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He has a .357 batting average. I'm not sure if he plays every day. I think he platoons because he's a catcher, first baseman, and outfielder, it says here. I'm not sure what he plays mostly. Any idea what he mostly plays, Andrew?
Usually catcher.
Okay. Yeah, so what, it's like him and John Jay, so...
Yeah, they switch off, and when he's not catcher, he's usually first base.
Okay. Josh Donaldson, third baseman for the Oakland A's. And pretty much everyone on the Oakland A's has been hot of late because they've just been so good. But yeah, Josh Donaldson's a good option. He was a Cubs prospect at one point, and... The Cubs traded him in a deal that got them Rich Harden in 2008.
Oh, goody.
What a great deal that was. Yep. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jim Hendry, for that one. Marlon Byrd, another ex-Cub on here, batting .269, 19 home runs. 19 home runs for Marlon Byrd. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
59 RBIs, 51 runs scored. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI against the Giants on Thursday. He's hit safely in 6 straight games. So, wow, that's pretty good. Melky Cabrera, outfielder for Toronto, he's been doing pretty well. He went 3 for 4 with 3 doubles on Thursday.
Whoa!
Yeah, 3 for 4 with 3 doubles. He had a double every time it was up. That's really impressive. David Ortiz is another option. He's been pretty good all year. He went 1 for 4 with a 3-run homer on Wednesday. And... He's batting just .253, but his solid power output and 72 RBIs makes him a must-own producer in all formats without hesitation, of course. And another, now here's a few people. They're both outfielders for the Detroit Tigers. You got Austin Jackson and Rajah Davis.
I picked him up today.
Yes. Here's what Austin Jackson's going to bring to the table for your team. He's batting .271, 52 runs, 32 RBIs, 4 home runs, 9 stolen bases. Slugging .406, that's pretty good. Wednesday marked Jackson's 6th straight multi-hit game, but his hot hitting dates back to even before that. In fact, Jackson has now hit safely in 11 of his past 12 contests, battling a sizzling .431 That's 22 for 51. And Rajah Davis has been doing good. He's batting .300. He went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a stolen base against the D-backs on Wednesday. So those are some of the things that some of those players have been doing. And, they've been doing pretty well. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about baseball, and we'll talk about the Hall of Fame inductions that will be happening on Sunday. So you're listening to Fantasy Fanatics, SportsTownChicago.com.
Thereof would leave me empty inside. Swallow my doubt, turn it inside out. Find nothing but faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in a blender. Watch it spin round to a beautiful oblivion.
Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Andrew Freeman.
And here's a cool little article about the Hall of Fame and about the crowds that they have. I didn't really realize this as I was reading this, that there was large crowds are going to be expected for this year's Hall of Fame inductions on Sunday. At least 40,000 expected in Cooperstown on Sunday, thanks to inductees' popularity, of course. It's pretty popular in Chicago because you'll have Tony La Russa, who managed the White Sox, Frank Thomas, and Greg Maddux. So a lot of good Chicago players and managers are going to be inducted on Sunday. Cooperstown, New York, has a little more than 1,800 full-time residents. The population will change dramatically this weekend when one of the largest throngs ever is expected to flood the picturesque little village for the annual induction ceremony for the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. And the Hall's Vice President of Communications and Education said his estimation is that some 40,000 fans will find their way to the museum in various festivities. The anticipation for a crowd is based on both the fact that there are 6 honorees this year, a large class, and the popularity of those who will be receiving plaques. Pitchers Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine, slugger Frank Thomas, and managers Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, and Tony La Russa. Maddux, Glavine, and Cox are all expected to draw a large contingent from Atlanta, of course. Maddux started his career with the Cubs, and La Russa's first managerial opportunity came with the White Sox, while Frank Thomas was embraced on the South Side, a strong lure for Chicago fans. So there's going to be a lot of Chicago fans there. Tony La Russa won the World Series twice, managing the Cardinals, and once with the Athletics. St. Louis historically travels very well, the Vice President Horn said. Cardinals fans are among the most diehard in their appreciation for their heroes, and Tony certainly ranks up there for all the achievements he led the Cardinals to. And then, of course, Joe Torre will be inducted, so they're saying that there will be a lot of New York Yankee fans and just New York people in general, because this is in upstate New York. The largest crowd ever for induction weekend was in 2007, when an estimated 82,000 people, that's a lot of people, showed up to help honor Cal Ripken Jr. and Tony Gwynn. Some 50,000 were on hand for Nolan Ryan, George Brett, Robin Yount, and Orlando Cepeda in 1999, and 40,000 for Mike Schmidt and Richie Ashburn in 1995. And typical induction weekend crowd runs between 15,000 and 20,000 people. So the highlights of the weekend include ceremonies at Doubleday Field. That's the first field that baseball was played on, during which the Ford C. Frick Award will be presented to Rangers broadcaster Eric Nadel. The Spink Award will be given to longtime writer Roger Engel, and the Buck O'Neill Award will go to Joe Gargliola. That will be followed by the Parade of Legends down Main Street to the Hall of Fame, where fans will have the opportunity to see the 50 Hall of Famers who are expected to return. So that'll be pretty cool. And that will air on MLB Network starting at 12:30 Central Time. So that'll be pretty cool to watch. I'll probably be able to catch a little bit of it. I definitely want to see Frank Thomas's speech and Greg Maddox's speech, see what they have to say about the White Sox and the Cubs and everything. And I know... it's probably hard for Maddux to choose. It's not up to him if he goes in as a Brave or a Cub, but it's definitely kind of interesting for him to see where he's going to go into. But we're going to do an update, and then we'll come back and we'll start to go over. Well, we'll go over the pitching matchups from last week, and then we'll go over the pitching matchups for this week. And
It makes us older, better, faster, stronger.
welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Andrew Freeman, and the Cubs are losing 3-0 in the first.
Hey, it's a good thing we both picked Joe Kelly then, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. 3-0. So they gave up 3 runs in the top of the first.
Yes.
Travis Wood, what are you doing, man?
Let's see. The first, Carpenter got a hit. Holiday got a hit. He walked Adams,
Jeez.
and then Jay hit them both in, got 2 RBIs. So, yeah.
Yeah, go figure.
No home runs, though. Way to go.
Yet.
Way to go, Travis Wood.
There will be more home runs, trust me.
Cubs have no middle relief, so I'm guessing the score will be 12-2.
Yeah, I could see that. 12-2, maybe. Anthony Rizzo hit a 2-run homer. That'll be the offense for the day.
That's it.
Okay, so let's go over these pitching matchups from last week.
Oh, this is my favorite time of the day.
Yes.
It's always so close.
So I think Andrew's won 2 straight against me.
Yes, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
The winner.
We haven't had a tie in a while. I think we had a tie maybe the first time we did it.
Yeah.
And then we were alternating a little bit, and then Andrew's won 2 straight. So, Cincinnati Reds at New York Yankees. That was Mike Leake versus David Phelps, and David Phelps got the win, and I picked him, and Andrew picked. So I get a point because Andrew picked Mike Leake.
Darn it.
Colorado Rockies at the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was a no decision. So no points. Milwaukee Brewers at Nationals. We both picked a losing pitcher, Steven Strasburg, over Kyle Loesch. So Loesch outdueled him that game. Yu Darvish versus R.A. Dickey. We both picked Yu Darvish, so we both get a point. So I am winning 2-1 currently.
Indeed.
Cleveland Indians at Detroit Tigers. Trevor Bauer versus Anibal Sanchez. I picked Trevor Bauer, and Andrew picked Anibal Sanchez. Trevor Bauer did get the win.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm currently winning 3-1. Next game was a no decision. There was a lot of no decisions. Next game, we both got a win. We both picked Madison Bumgarner over Nathan Eovaldi, so I'm up 4-2. Next game, we both picked correctly Irvin Santana for the win against AJ Burnett, so I'm up 5-3. Next game, no decision. And that was the Astros and White Sox, by the way. Next game, Tampa Bay Rays at Minnesota Twins. This would be Alex Cobb versus Kyle Gibson. I chose Kyle Gibson, and Andrew chose Alex Cobb, and Alex Cobb got the win.
Yeah, comeback train. Woo, woo.
So I'm winning 5-4 now, as there is 5 left. Next game, this would be the Dodgers at St. Louis. Dan Herron versus Lance Lynn. Andrew picked Lance Lynn. I picked Dan Herron because I hate the Cardinals, and Lance Lynn got the win.
Oh, it's all tied up.
It's tied up 5-5 right now. Next game, which was the Cubs and Diamondbacks, no decision. Game after that, Baltimore Orioles and Oakland Athletics, no decision. Then there's 2 games left, and guess what? They're both no decisions.
It's the first tie, I believe.
So we tied. I think we might have tied earlier, possibly. But.
No, Nick won the first one.
Right, but I think we did.
Tied.
Well, I think we did one before that, but we never. I never kept the sheet.
Yeah.
So, and I don't even remember who won that anyway.
I think the record is I've won 3 times, you've won once, and now it's a tie, so it's 3-1-1.
Right.
No,
yeah, it's us. Yeah, I mean, I can look. I have them all in my folder. I'll look later. But yeah, so we tied. So that usually doesn't happen. Last 4 games of the evening that night were all no decisions.
That's a lot of no decisions.
It is. That was definitely the most no decisions we've seen.
Next thing you know, we're going to have to pick relief pitchers on saves.
Oh, God. It's possible. It's possible. Okay. Let's start going over the matchups for this week. We have, Cardinals and Cubs. We both picked Joe Kelly so far. That's looking pretty damn good right now. Joe Kelly versus Travis Wood. Arizona Diamondbacks at the Philadelphia Phillies. We got Wade Miley versus Kyle Kendrick. Kyle Kendrick looks to get things turned around, as he's won only once in his last 6 starts. He has a horrible ERA in the first inning, a 10.80 ERA in the first inning. And he's has and he's given up 16 home runs as well. He has allowed 18 runs in 16 innings over his last 3 starts. Wade Miley has been on a roll of late, going 3-0 with a 1.88 ERA in his last 4 starts. So he's doing really well. So who are you going to go with, Wade Miley or Kyle Kennedy?
I'm going with Wade Miley.
I am also going with Wade Miley. So far, not a difference of opinions yet. Toronto Blue Jays at New York Yankees. We got Mark Burley versus Hiroki Kuroda. Who do you think is going to win this game?
This is a tough one.
It is.
I don't know. I guess I'm going to go with Burley.
Burley?
Just to play it safe.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. Who should I go with? Yankees are home. They've been on a roll. I'm going to go with Kuroda. Okay, so we got Burley and Kuroda there. John Lester and David Price. This is a pretty good pitching matchup.
Yeah, they're both 10-7. Both got good ERAs.
Who do you have in this one? I'm going to go Lester.
I'm also going to go Lester. Boston's been on a tear since the second half.
All right. Nationals at Reds. Tanner Roark versus Alfredo Simon. These 2 pitchers have both done pretty well.
I'm going to take Washington outscoring Cincinnati. It's not really a pitching matchup. It's an offensive.
True. Tanner Roark is my fantasy pitcher. I can't necessarily go against him, so I'm going to pick him.
I can't believe Simon's gone 12-4 though. That's
right.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Padres at Braves. We got Jesse Hahn versus Alex Wood.
I got to pick my boy Hahn.
And I have to pick my fantasy player. Of course, I have 6 pitchers going today, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I have to go with Alex Wood. So we got Jason Hamill versus Jeremy Williams. This is Oakland versus Houston.
Last time I picked Hamill, I lost. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Hamill.
Okay. I'm going to do upset pick here. I'm going to go Jerome Williams. He's pitched pretty well in the past, so I think he can do it.
Yeah, he's 1-4 with a 6.0 ERA. Good pick.
White Sox.
I have total faith.
At Twins. Hey, it's going to happen, I promise.
Yep.
White Sox at Twins. John Danks versus Kevin Correa. Both these pitchers aren't doing very well.
No, Kevin Correa never has.
Right.
Danks was a good relief pitcher back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I'm going to go with Minnesota beating the Chicago White Sox. It's more of a score thing than a...
Okay. I'm going to go with John Danks.
You're just being rebellious today.
I'm being very rebellious today. Cleveland Indians at Kansas City Royals. We got Josh Tomlin versus Yordano Ventura.
Yordano Ventura. I'm going to go with Tomlin.
Tomlin? I'm going to go with... let's see. I'm going to go with Yordano Ventura. He's been pitching pretty well. Marlins at Astros. Brad Hand versus Dallas Keuchel. And I did find the correct pronunciation. It is Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah.
So.
Someone walked up to me and was like, hey, it's Keuchel.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, it's like the hardest last name I've ever had to pronounce,
yeah.
I think.
Because there's
Kuchel, Keuchel. I have no clue what it is. But yeah, Dallas Keuchel.
Man, I don't even know anything about Hand, so I'm going to go with Keuchel, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, he was an all-star, so I'm going to go with him too. Okay, Zach Wheeler versus Giovanni Gallardo. That's the Mets at the Brewers.
Gallardo.
You're going to go with Gallardo?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Milwaukee.
You're going to go with Gallardo. I'm going to go with Zach Wheeler. I think he's going to shut down the Brewers. I think the Brewers are due for a loss.
You're either going to have the worst matchup of your life, and I'm just going to destroy you, or
it's been about even with us.
You are some sort of, like... pitcher, you're in some sort of zone right now because you pick so many opposites.
I think that's more what it is. I'm telling you.
We'll find out next week.
I'm in the zone. Yeah, we will find out next week. And that'll be interesting when I lose like 8-2. But
the baseball gods are speaking to me.
Pirates at Rockies. We've got Charlie Morton versus Brett Anderson. This isn't a very good matchup.
I've never been a fan of Anderson. I mean, he throws the ball hard, but not in an area where they won't miss, you know?
Right.
He gets a lot of home runs against
So
them.
are you going Charlie Morton?
I'm going to pick my boy Charlie Morton. He's won me 2 so far. So
I'm going Charlie Morton as well. Tigers at Angels. Drew Smiley versus Tyler Skaggs.
This is a hard one to pick.
This is a hard one to pick.
Both one dominant teams.
The Angels are home.
Both pitchers are
I think I'm going
good.
Skaggs.
You're going Skaggs. I'll go Skaggs.
Okay. And 2 more to go over before break. Orioles at Mariners. Kevin Gossman versus Felix Hernandez.
Man, you cannot go against Hernandez.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult not to. So, yeah, I'm
11
going,
and 2, 2.02 ERA. Come on.
Yeah, I'm going Felix Hernandez. Dodgers at San Francisco Giants. Zach Greinke versus Tim Lincecum. Zach Greinke has not been doing that good of late, and for that reason, I'm going to go Tim Lincecum.
Tim Lincecum has churned his game around.
Yes, he has.
He was doing really bad. He's 2-4 at one point. Now he's at 9-6. His ERA was over a 5, and now it's at 3.65.
Right.
So I'm going to go with a hot hand in Timmy.
Okay. So that is that, and we will tell you how those went next week after our live fantasy football draft.
Yes.
We're going to take a break and come back and talk about a plethora of things and wrap up the show. So stick around, Fantasy Fanatics, SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Andrew Freeman, and with us we have one of our league players, league owners, in our fantasy league, baseball fantasy.
Yes.
He is dead last. Probably the worst fantasy player I have ever played with in my life.
Ooh.
He's at 4-11. Go ahead, Casey. Say something for yourself.
I guess naming my team 162-0 was a bad idea.
I guess it's a curse of some kind because you're doing the opposite of that.
I started off amazing, but it's kind of reversed on me a little bit.
You've made a dismal 7 moves since you've begun in this league.
Only 7.
Only 7 moves.
Ash has asked me to trade with him about 40 times.
Hash's watch out, who's doing okay. Maybe you should take some of those trades since your team, I don't know, sucks.
The trade deadline is next week.
Yes, you have next week to trade players. You know that, correct?
I did not know that. That's
You're
good to know.
kind of like Taco from the league.
Taco. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not really paying attention, are you, buddy?
I mean, I think when the 30th guy on my roster got hurt, I think I kind of gave up a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like my entire team has gotten hurt.
But you didn't think to, I don't know, go to the waiver wire and see what's available, obviously.
You know what? Have you ever heard of Pooper Chocolate?
We're not playing that game on the radio, sir. And I will not tell you again.
You don't know whether I'm poop or I'm chocolate. I could come out of nowhere and win this league. You never know.
You're down by $100 right now. Did you know that? Do you even pay?
100.
Yeah,
It's not over till I'm down by 1,000.
I don't think that's ever happened in fantasy ever.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure it has.
I try to keep the same record as my beloved Cubs. Okay, all right.
You're a little off, but I'd say percentage. Your record percentage is about the same as the Cubs. You could pick up Alcantara right now.
Might as well, right?
He's available. I don't know if you've looked at the players available at all.
Yes and no. Let's see. I've looked at available players. I haven't looked at a single trade. To be completely honest with you, I don't even know where the trades happen on this thing.
You click on it. It says trade available, and then they literally click on the word trade available, and then it tells you. Have you ever played fantasy baseball ever?
No, this is my first season.
But you've watched baseball your entire life.
Yeah.
And you've played fantasy football.
Yeah, fantasy football is way more fun. You only have to pay attention once a week.
It's bad. Just bad. So how do you feel about you are, in fact, going to be last this season?
I'm not going to be.
Unless you could put something together. I'm
going
hoping...
to be the Rudy of baseball. I'm going to be on the practice squad getting crushed for 3 straight seasons. Then that 4th season, I'm going to get in for that last game, and I'm going to get that sack.
When do you think the 4th season for you is going to begin? Because
probably August.
We're really hoping it's sooner rather than later.
I'm going to say September 22nd.
Because right now, You're being beaten 292 to 384.
Hey, that's not that far. That's only 100 points. Come on.
And let's look at your squad. You have Anthony Rizzo. That's fine. Yadier Molina.
Yeah. What else do you pick up besides Yadier Molina? I'd rather have him on my roster.
No, you could have got You could have got Vogt, but you didn't get Vogt.
Stephen Vogt. Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Vogt. You didn't pick him up. You have Jed Lowry.
That's not a bad option.
Ryan Zimmerman.
Yeah, he's hurt too. He had a tough break.
Yeah, he's hurt right now.
He's been hurt about 5 times.
You might want to do something about that. I don't know.
I feel he looks. My team looks good. Does that count for something?
No, absolutely not.
They may be in the training room getting their arms wrapped up in their ankles or whatever they hurt. I don't even know, but they look good.
Alexi Ramirez, who is the only good player on the Chicago White Sox.
Well, you're forgetting about Jose Abreu.
Every team has at least one good one.
Matt Holliday. And then you have an empty spot just sort of sitting there in your roster.
I know. I've been trying to change it. You gotta get it before the butt crack of noon to be able to change your spot, but I never do. So.
Yeah, that's an empty spot. I don't know who Empty is, but he's not doing well.
You know what? Somebody special. Empty's a hidden secret. That's my hidden gem.
You have Yasiel Puig, but you don't. I don't understand.
Yasiel Puig's like one of the best players.
I know you have one of the best players in the league, but you're not winning. Maybe you should trade him and just lose altogether. Make someone else good.
He's one from Lewis Ponce.
You have R.A. Dickey, Clayton Kershaw, Jeff Samardzija, Andrew Kashner, all good pitchers, but you still lose.
Yeah, that's one. And yeah, Hash wants Samardzija, but I feel like I have to keep Samardzija.
Well, now that he's on Oakland, why would you not want to keep him? He's on one of the best teams in baseball. He went from one of the worst to one of the best.
And R.A. Dickey can throw a forkball. How many people in the major leagues can throw a forkball right now?
Yeah, but he's not doing well. So you might want to pick up a pitcher that can actually pitch well.
What does that mean? I'm a Cubs fan. You got to explain this to me.
R.A. Dickey isn't good. And there's a lot of pitchers out there that you could be picking up that are doing good. Danny Duffy is available.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, and he's been hot.
He's been hot.
I don't believe you. And you should wear a bra next time.
And your bench is even scarier than your actual. You have Mark Teixeira. Why?
Why not?
Coco Crisp, really? Like you got a cereal on your team somehow?
Yeah, that's the one I keep trying. That's the one I want to put in that empty spot, but I keep waking up too late to do it.
Do you have your agent on the phone line with you? What's going on here?
My agent?
Yeah.
No.
Who's in the background with you?
I'm a.
Is he telling you what to say on the radio right now?
Yes. Yes, he is. Agent?
You just want to get as many Molinas as you can.
Yes. Well, he's failing in that.
He says my team looks good.
You also have Martin Prado from Arizona. I don't know if I agree with that. That's a waste.
I picked him up twice.
You have Shelby Miller, another wasted spot.
I picked up Prado.
CC Sabathia, the fattest man in baseball, who doesn't even pitch anymore, and you have him on your team.
He's out all year, I think.
Yeah, he's out for the season, buddy.
I think they're lying to us.
And then you have Neil Walker.
You never know with those Yankees and those Steinbrenners. They're crafty.
Neil Walker hasn't done anything since the beginning of the season. So,
who?
Neil Walker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, why are you sitting on these people that really don't do anything?
I guess I'm gonna have to set an alarm for myself for like 5 a.m.
No, this is not football. You can actually pick up anybody you want, like right now.
I can, but then everybody else plays and they're locked, so I can't do it again until tomorrow morning, and then I forget. I have to go to work and.
You might just want to take like that one day and lose those points because your team sucks anyway, and then have a good team the next day.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
And then set your roster. You can actually click a day ahead and set your roster. You can set your roster for a week. It takes 20 minutes. Just click a day ahead and move people.
I I'm a very busy man. That's far too much time.
So you're busy, huh?
Uh-huh.
What do you do?
Well, I wake up at noon. I walk around and try to find something to eat for breakfast, usually like leftover Pop-Tarts and some cold pizza, stuff like that. I play a couple video games.
Yeah.
I worked for a couple minutes. I say, you know what, this is kind of boring. I'm going to turn around and come back home. And I stay up till about 5 a.m. and I do it all over again.
And you literally don't think I should play with my league a little bit because I have 18 hours of spare time in my day.
Listen, I was invited to this league. That means you guys want me. I'm wanted. I'm wanted.
Well, last place does not get to stay in the league for next year, so you should try and do better.
When did that become a rule?
That has been a rule since we first
that our new
made
rule?
the league.
Okay.
What place is Ashish Segal in? I just want to do better than him.
No last names, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. What place is Ashish?
It's too late. It's out there.
Ashish.
Ashish, also known as Watch Out, is 7-8. You are at 4-11. So
I can catch him.
I
can totally catch him.
you're about to be 4-12.
How many seasons? How many seasons? How many games are left? Not in real baseball, in fantasy baseball.
There's plenty of weeks left. We're at the halfway mark. This is the
Oh,
week
that's
after
good.
the All-Star game.
I can still pick up free agents. I just can't trade, right? Next week.
Next week is the end. That's the trade deadline.
Yes.
But I can still pick up free agents.
Yes, there's a lot of people on the waiver wire that are pretty good that you can pick up right now.
Okay.
I feel like I'm explaining to you how to play fantasy baseball.
I feel like you are too.
Maybe you should go to YouTube, take 10 minutes out of your day, or just pick up some people off the waiver wire and see how it goes.
No.
The guy you just talked about, that's 7-8, known as Watch Out or Ashish, actually has the most pickups out of everybody with 134.
Wow.
You have 7, and you're dead last. I don't know if you should do like what Ashish is doing, or if you should do. You know what? Just sit on your team and see if they start winning. That's what I've decided. We'll be calling you back. Here. Yes. Go ahead. Interject.
What was Watch Out's name?
Ashish.
Let's make a bet.
Yes, let's make a bet. Go for it.
No, I'm gonna step in. Listen, I'm gonna step in, and we're gonna turn this team around.
Yes.
Okay.
Please do, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He needs help.
Okay.
Make a bet for Mr. Casey if he can turn it around and not be last place.
How much?
You think I can catch Hash?
I don't think you can catch Hash. I'll make a bet on Hash.
Is he second to last place?
No. He's not.
Okay.
San Jose Wombats is up on him a game. He's 5-10.
Who's Wombat? Who's Wombat?
Okay.
First name.
I don't know his first name. He's Ryan's brother.
Yeah. Brett.
Who's Watch Out? What's his first
His name's Watch Out is Ashish.
God bless you.
That's racist, sir. All right. Thank you for calling in. We will talk to you. What's the bet first before we end this call?
You got a team of bandits here. We're gonna turn this around.
You have to make a bet that if you beat Ashish, what do you want?
Have you ever seen the Bad News Bears?
I don't have time for this.
Oh, I'm the Bad News Bear. I'm Billy Bob Thornton.
I need to hear the
That's
bet,
right.
or I'm just going to hang up on you.
Billy Bob Thornton. No, hold on. Yo, what'd be a good bet? I don't even know. I haven't even thought this through.
If you beat Ashish, what do you want?
A trophy.
Okay. I could get a trophy.
No.
Now what do I get if you lose?
You want him to wear a Jay Cutler t-shirt.
Oh, I take it back. I don't want a trophy. I
Okay.
would like you to wear a Jay Cutler t-shirt.
So
Beautiful.
What,
I
once
have
a
to
week-
wear a Jay Cutler
once a week for
t-shirt.
the rest of the year.
I have to wear a
Beautiful.
Jay Cutler T-shirt if I lose, and you get a trophy if you win, or if you win, I have to wear a Jay Cutler.
Wait, what? That was confusing. Yes, if I win, you have to wear a Jay Cutler shirt.
And if I win, you have to wear
Gotta
a
jump in the
St.
crowd
Louis
December.
a St. Louis hockey jersey for a week.
Ooh.
For a week. And you have to
Never-
buy it and like it.
I'm not going to buy a whole jersey. I'll buy a T-shirt.
Yeah, you can buy a jersey. It's fine.
Not a jersey.
No, a
It's like $200.
jersey. It's a shirt jersey. It's a T-shirt
Oh.
with their name on the back.
Oh. Yeah, I'll find.
All right, that is a bet. Thank you for calling in. You can end the call.
Okay. All right.
That was entertaining.
So so that pretty much is it for our show. Next week we'll have a pretty exciting show, as we'll have our live fantasy football draft, and there are still 3 spots available, so we'll fill those up. So this has been Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich,
I'm Andrew Freeman.
and we'll see you next week.
Bye!